Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Drew Wild. Today we are talking about the algorithm is their manager. So this is actually the final part of a multi-part series of an article that MarketWatch wrote about gig worker scams and everything about them. Now they're talking about how the algorithm is their manager. First we started with a bunch of people getting scammed, then we talked about deactivation, now we're talking about algorithms. This is going to be interesting. I'm excited about it. Let's get started. Gig worker scholars said the key aspects of the gig economy contribute to the persistence of the problem of workers losing their earnings. That is so true. The problem isn't anymore about making money, it's about keeping the money you're actually making. You got to make sure that no matter what you do, you're not in a situation where you can get your earnings stolen. Got to protect that at all costs. Generally, delivery workers pull up an app on their phones, decide whether they want to accept an order, and head to the restaurant or store. They sometimes communicate with the customer in-app or by phone or text, but do not usually have a lot of direct contact with other delivery workers. I actually would challenge that a little bit because it's mostly true except for one situation. In the event that you're at a restaurant with notorious wait times, you can actually network with the people that are also waiting. Cheesecake Factory was a good place to do that. Anthony's Coal-Fired Pizza around here was a great place to do that because they were always backed up. And it's amazing how friendly some of these people are. We're not trying to compete against each other. We're trying to just make the money we can make and then go home. Katie Wells, a postdoctoral research fellow at Georgetown University who studies the Washington, D.C. gig economy, said that the app-based workers are so atomized. They spread out and work apart from one another. They are unlikely to have the chance to ask their peers about how they handle certain aspects of the job. They don't have supervisors to consult either. So first off, that's a benefit to a lot of people, that the fact that they don't have a supervisor to consult and everything is based on the flip of a switch and you basically are your own boss. Now, as far as handling certain aspects of the job, with all due respect, that's kind of what YouTube is for. Like on this channel and on many other channels, we talk a lot about how to handle certain aspects of the job. Heck, I've mentioned it in stories, I've made specific videos about it, so that's not necessarily a bad thing. And not to mention, most supervisors can't even consult properly with the people that they're working with. Because number one, they may not have even done the job that they're doing first. And number two, they're more interested in the financial and the business aspect than the actual operations and getting it done right aspect. That's why you hear all the time about people being forced to work off the clock and being abused in the workplace. That's not a disadvantage. They don't have a boss. The algorithm is their manager, she said. That makes them more susceptible to these types of scams. That is one downside to it, to where you are susceptible to a lot of these scams and there isn't a lot of protections for us, because we're independent contractors. That being said, however, the way that people get into your accounts is by giving your personal information. If you don't give their personal information, then your accounts will be perfectly safe. Delivery workers being tricked or cheated out of their earnings is another example of why it's a problem that there's no regulatory oversight of this workplace, Wells added. I don't think that's necessarily the case, because protect your information, that's not an issue. Stewart of the Aspen Institute agreed. When workers run into any sort of problem, we have heard many stories of them not being able to get a hold of anyone. Well, that seems like it's more of the company side than it is the gig worker side. The gig workers are doing everything in their power, and if the companies are choosing not to do their jobs and provide the ability to fight back in this situation, that's the same problem that they've always had. You're not going to be able to get your money back, and the companies, they don't care about us anyway. But the problem with their argument is that this is the case for a lot of different people in a lot of different industries. How many times have you heard about wage theft? How many times have you heard about people being abused in the workplace, and when they try to unionize, they just shut down that location? Chipotle is notorious for that. Now, do I believe in the concept of having the Doordash offices and the Uber Greenlight hubs and all of those stations back online so that way we can actually make an appeal in person? Yes, because I thought that was one of the best things about all of these gig companies. In the event that something goes wrong, you could talk to a human in front of you, because quite frankly, talking to people over the phone is a nightmare. Because gig companies have many different partners, delivery workers may also be confused about who's responsible for what. If people are confused about who's responsible for what, then they don't understand the business model as a whole. Gig workers are responsible for their own earnings and protecting their information. There's also a lot of turnover in gig work. New delivery workers are signing on all the time and may or may not be paying attention to all the fine print. That includes warnings about guarding their information. Anybody who comes into the gig economy, they're likely coming in from a place of, I was an employee and I'm using this, whether it's temporary or permanent. They just don't have the education or the understanding that it's their responsibility at the end of the day. Or they do have that. They do have the understanding of that, but they don't think of it as a big deal. They don't know about all the things that happen in the gig economy. And because they don't have the experience yet, they could end up getting severely hurt, whether it's through losing money, whether it's losing personal information, identity theft, etc. So people then end up quitting the gig economy for that reason. Stewart said employees, but not gig workers, usually get training and IT support. If you're looking for training, there's a lot of stuff on YouTube that'll literally talk about exactly that. IT support, you're in business for yourself. You don't need IT support from anybody but yourself. Here's the thing about Stewart's statement. He's saying that employees get training and IT support. Gig workers are not employees. We're independent contractors. We are in business for ourselves. 50% of us are entrepreneurs. If you do not have the ability to problem solve enough to be able to learn how the gig economy works, how to make the most money in the least amount of time, and be able to fix a problem in the event that you run into one, you are not actually in business for yourself. You need to go get a job and find something that's a little bit more suited for you, because quite frankly, the gig economy is not for everybody. If my job, if there's anything suspicious, there's someone to call, she said. These workers have none of that. They're absorbing all the risk. Well, technically, we can end up emailing somebody in the event that something does happen, like a customer impersonate Dasher support or what have you, and we can actually report that. But yeah, we are absorbing the risk. That's part of being an independent contractor. This is my opinion. It's worth what you pay for it. None of you pay me. There you go. The gig economy is not for everybody. Employees have to just report to somebody that can handle everything. We got to handle everything ourselves. That's what it means to be in business for yourself. It's the difference between a business mindset and an employee mindset. A business mindset is going to look for ways to solve the problem. An employee is going to look for someone else to solve the problem for them. Are we unsupervised as a whole? Yes, that's one of the major benefits of being a gig worker. The freedom and flexibility. What part of that is unclear? Oh, they're not paying attention to all the fine print and includes the warnings and guarding their information. Most employees don't look at all the fine print. You know how many people don't look at the fine print? Hell, there are CEOs that don't look at the fine print. They pay somebody to look at the fine print. And with that said, you gotta make sure that no matter what happens, you're protecting yourself. And that's the point. Is there a point to be said that there should be a little bit more regulation? Yes. Is it gonna happen? Probably not. Is Doordash, UberEats, and Grubhub ever gonna open up their offices again? Probably not. But that's why the gig economy is an income bridge to what would be a long-term goal. Not the goal. Either look into a different job if that's just what you're interested in doing. You're not looking to actually have the freedom and flexibility. You're looking for more of a structured job. That's fine. Go apply for other jobs. If you're looking to be in business for yourself, start actually working on that. Do that as a side hustle and use the income from this line of work to fund that side hustle. Whether that's something physical like a brick and mortar business or something online like YouTube or a blog or print on demand, whatever. But make sure it's something that you can commit to and something that you can earn money from that is independent from your activity. So that way you have the ability to scale it up and then eventually be less dependent on the gig economy. Whether you leave or not is up to you. But at the end of the day, just make sure you're protecting your information because no one's going to look out for us, so you got to look out for yourself. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. As always, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace!